The sun shone gently over Jetavana, where disciples gathered under the shade of the Bodhi tree. Each disciple carried questions of suffering. The Buddha sat in silence, observing their faces etched with worry and doubt. His gaze fell upon a young disciple named Ananda. Ananda's hands trembled as he clasped them, reflecting his inner turmoil. The Buddha spoke softly, his voice calm yet resonating deeply. Ananda, what burdens your heart today? Clouding your peace of mind? Ananda hesitated but finally said, Master, my thoughts trap me in regret and fear. They seem endless and insurmountable. The Buddha picked up a fallen leaf, holding it between his fingers. Ananda, do you see this leaf clinging to the ground? Ananda nodded, confused by the question yet drawn to the simplicity of the moment. This leaf holds no life, yet it remains attached to the earth, Buddha said, turning his gentle eyes to Ananda. Your negative thoughts are like this leaf, clinging unnecessarily to your mind. The disciples murmured among themselves, reflecting on Buddha's words. The Buddha continued, thoughts arise as guests. Some bring joy, others pain. Your mind is not their permanent dwelling place. His words encouraged others to look inward and examine their fleeting, unkind thoughts. Meditation, Buddha said, is the art of observing these visitors without attachment or resistance. He gestured to the tree above, its roots firmly anchoring it as its leaves swayed freely. Learn from this tree. Ground yourself in awareness. Let your thoughts move without being trapped. The disciples closed their eyes, meditating under the Buddha's guidance. Ananda struggled at first, his mind racing against his control. Buddha spoke again. Ananda, force will never quiet your thoughts. They yield only to gentle understanding. Buddha's serenity calmed the disciples, allowing their hearts to soften and their minds to observe more keenly. Suffering, Buddha said, emerges when you grasp your thoughts too tightly, refusing their natural ebb and flow. His words seemed to part a veil, revealing truth hidden deep within the disciples. Ananda felt his breath slow, his thoughts transforming into a gentle stream. The Buddha smiled faintly, noticing his disciples' newfound peace. As rivers flow unceasingly, so must your thoughts. Do not halt them, but watch their journey with awareness. Each disciple began seeing their inner struggles as impermanent, like clouds drifting through an endless sky. Buddha's teachings echoed in their minds, planting seeds of tranquility in fertile soil. Ananda opened his eyes, looking into Buddha's serene face. Master, I feel the weight of my thoughts lifting, he said. Buddha gently nodded, signaling his understanding. He picked up another leaf, letting it fall gently to the ground. Witness its surrender, Ananda. Do you notice its freedom now that it has let go? Ananda smiled faintly, tears welling up as he reflected on Buddha's wisdom. I understand now. Holding on to negative thoughts only binds me further in their cycle. Buddha's voice was steady and warm. Ananda, the leaf does not fight the wind, nor does it grasp the earth. It surrenders. The disciples immersed themselves deeply in contemplation, feeling the truth of impermanence seeping into their hearts. The mind is fertile soil, Buddha said, and it nurtures whatever seeds you plant within it, whether joy or despair. His analogy painted vivid images in the minds of disciples, connecting abstract thoughts to tangible symbols. Buddha gazed at the forest beyond Jetavana, its quiet stillness mirroring his teachings. Peace is achieved when you accept impermanence as the nature of your thoughts and experiences. The disciples left Jetavana that evening, their hearts lighter and minds attuned to Buddha's profound wisdom. Each step they took felt deliberate, free from the weight of regret or fear. They saw the power of observation and release, breaking free from cycles that confined them. Buddha's teachings left a lasting imprint on their souls, inspiring continuous self-reflection. Ananda felt gratitude swelling in his heart. His struggle now transformed into an opportunity for growth. Buddha's teachings illuminated their path, guiding them toward liberation from the seeds of suffering within their minds. As the moon rose above the monastery, Buddha rested beneath the tree, his presence embodying eternal peace. The disciples carried Buddha's wisdom, determined to break the cycle of negativity within their hearts and minds. Another day, the Buddha and his disciples walked through a small village under the soft glow of the morning sun. Villagers greeted them respectfully, offering alms and food with humble gratitude. The group stopped near a struggling farmer, whose ox cart was stuck in a muddy path. The farmer's face was creased with frustration as he attempted to move the cart forward with little success. Observing this scene, the Buddha stepped forward, his gaze calm and understanding. "Brother, why do you struggle so? And what causes your burden to weigh so heavily?" the Buddha asked gently. The farmer sighed deeply, wiping sweat from his brow before speaking. "Master, the wheel is damaged, and the cart will not move forward no matter how hard I try." The Buddha knelt beside the wheel, examining its cracked surface with deliberate care. He turned to his disciples, speaking with a serene voice. "Do you see how the broken wheel halts the cart's journey, much as a disturbed mind hinders one's progress?" The disciples nodded, their attention fixed on the Buddha's every word and gesture. The Buddha continued, "Just as this wheel must be repaired, so must the mind be tended to with mindfulness and care." He gestured toward the river flowing peacefully in the distance, its waters sparkling under the sunlight. "Look at the river," the Buddha said, pointing toward its serene yet purposeful current. "It meets obstacles but does not resist them. It flows with awareness, carving its path naturally and without force." The disciples turned their heads toward the river, observing its gentle yet persistent motion around rocks and bends. "To live mindfully is to be like the river," the Buddha said. "Each moment observed brings clarity and freedom from suffering." His words resonated deeply with the disciples, who began to grasp the importance of intentional and mindful actions. The Buddha then helped the farmer lift the wheel, setting it into a position for repair. "Brother, repair this wheel with care and patience, just as you would mend your own disturbed thoughts," he said. The farmer, grateful for the Buddha's guidance, bowed low and expressed his heartfelt thanks. The disciples reflected on the lesson as they continued their journey, pondering the connection between mindfulness and progress. Later, they gathered at the banks of the river, listening to the soothing sound of the flowing water. The Buddha stood before them, his presence calm and unwavering, and spoke once more. "Mindfulness does not mean controlling every thought but observing them without judgment or attachment," he began. The disciples sat in stillness, each word sinking into their consciousness like pebbles dropping into a calm pond. When the mind becomes entangled in negativity, it is as if the cart's wheel breaks, halting the journey forward, the Buddha said. "Repairing the wheel requires patient attention, not force or frustration," he added, his voice steady as the river's flow. The disciples nodded, their expressions reflecting understanding and contemplation of the Buddha's wisdom. The Buddha cupped his hands, lifting a handful of water from the river, letting it flow through his fingers. "Thoughts are like this water," he said. "They arise, move, and pass, never clinging to a single moment or form." The disciples marveled at the simplicity yet depth of his teaching, finding clarity in his profound metaphors. "Allow each thought to flow naturally," the Buddha said. "Do not dam the river, for resistance creates more suffering within." His teachings illuminated their understanding, guiding them toward practices of gentle observation and deliberate living. Rahula, one of the disciples, raised his hand hesitantly and spoke. "Master, what if the same thoughts return repeatedly, despite our efforts to let them go?" The Buddha smiled faintly, turning his gaze toward the horizon where the river met the sky. "Rahula," he said, "even when the river circles back in an eddy, it never halts its ultimate journey forward." His words reassured the disciples, offering insight into the nature of persistence and impermanence within their minds. The group remained seated by the riverbank as the Buddha continued to speak. The river's path is not linear but adapts to obstacles with grace and flow, teaching us resilience and mindfulness. The disciples reflected deeply, each seeing their struggles mirrored in the river's journey and finding solace in its wisdom. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the landscape, the Buddha addressed them once more. Mindful living allows us to mend the broken wheel and flow with life's challenges rather than being overwhelmed by them. The disciples carried his teachings in their hearts, committed to practicing mindfulness in their daily lives. Rahula felt a renewed sense of determination, vowing to observe his thoughts without fear or frustration. The Buddha stood, looking once more at the river, his hands clasped in a gesture of peace and reverence. "Let your mind be as this river," he said finally. "Flow with awareness, carving a path forward through the impermanence of existence." The disciples rose, bowing deeply to their teacher, their hearts filled with gratitude and purpose. As the group departed from the riverbank, the sound of the flowing water continued to echo in their minds. They knew the path to breaking the cycle of negativity was one of patience, awareness, and mindful living. The teachings of the Buddha inspired them to embrace each moment fully, mending the wheels within their own hearts. The night descended gently, stars emerging one by one, reflecting the infinite potential within their renewed minds. The journey back to the monastery was silent but serene, each step a meditation on the Buddha's timeless wisdom. Another day, the disciples gathered beneath the Bodhi tree, seeking the Buddha's wisdom on overcoming recurring struggles in their minds. Among them sat Rahula, his face lined with worry, burdened by thoughts he could not escape. The Buddha observed Rahula's unrest, his gaze filled with compassion and understanding. Before addressing the assembly, "Rahula, why does your heart weigh so heavily today, as though carrying stones across a vast desert?" Buddha asked softly. Rahula bowed and spoke. "Master, no matter how I release my thoughts, they return, trapping me in their endless cycle." The Buddha picked up a bowl and filled it with water from a nearby stream, holding it up for all to see. "Do you see this water?" he asked, his voice calm yet firm, drawing the attention of every disciple. They nodded silently, curious about the wisdom he would reveal through such a simple object. "Thoughts are like this water," Buddha said. "When disturbed, it ripples. When still, it reflects the sky clearly." He set the bowl down, allowing the water to settle until its surface became smooth like a mirror. "Observe your thoughts as they arise and subside, without clinging to them or pushing them away," he instructed. The disciples closed their eyes, attempting to follow his teaching, their breaths slowing into steady rhythms. Rahula struggled, his thoughts a torrent that refused to calm, and he opened his eyes in frustration. "Master," Rahula said, "I fear I am failing. My thoughts persist, and peace feels as distant as the horizon." The Buddha smiled gently, placing his hand on Rahula's shoulder with a gesture of reassurance and warmth. "Rahula," he said, "clouds do not stain the sky, nor do passing thoughts diminish your true nature." He reached toward the horizon where clouds drifted lazily, their forms shifting and dissolving into open space. "Your mind is the sky, vast and unchanging. Clouds are temporary, no matter how dense or persistent they appear." The disciples opened their eyes, reflecting deeply on the imagery of the sky and clouds, finding solace in its simplicity. When you see thoughts as passing clouds, their grip weakens, and your mind remains free and limitless, Buddha explained. Rahula felt a glimmer of hope, his heart lightened by the clarity of the Buddha's words and presence. The Buddha continued, his voice steady like the stream that fed the water bowl, weaving profound truths effortlessly. Suffering arises not from thoughts themselves but from the grasping and resistance we impose upon them, he said. His words echoed like ripples in the minds of the disciples, each wave carrying wisdom across their understanding. The Buddha picked up the bowl again, pouring the water slowly onto the earth below, letting it seep into the soil. Do you see how the water flows until none remains? Buddha asked, his gesture deliberate and symbolic. Rahula nodded, his gaze fixed on the earth where the water disappeared, leaving no trace behind. So, too, must you let your thoughts flow, without grasping to hold them or fearing their departure, Buddha said. The disciples meditated on this teaching, their hearts awakening to the truth of impermanence and liberation. Rahula closed his eyes once more, feeling the torrent of his thoughts ease into a gentle current, no longer overwhelming. The Buddha smiled faintly, sensing the shift in Rahula's state of mind, his lesson reaching its intended depth. Freedom from cycles comes not by force but by understanding their nature and embracing impermanence, the Buddha said. The disciples felt a collective peace settle over them, the weight of their struggles lifting as the night approached. The Buddha stood, his presence embodying serenity and strength. As he gazed toward the vastness of the starlit sky, the stars remain ever radiant, even when clouds obscure them. Your essence, too, is untouched by fleeting thoughts, Buddha said. Rahula felt tears welling in his eyes, not of sorrow but of gratitude and profound understanding. Master, Rahula said, his voice steady yet filled with emotion, I see now. I am not my thoughts. I am the sky. The Buddha nodded, his approval silent yet unmistakable. His teachings reflected in the calm of his disciples, live each moment with awareness, letting thoughts drift without attachment. And you will find true liberation, the Buddha said. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with reverence and a commitment to practice what they had learned. As the night enveloped Jetavana, the disciples felt the glow of wisdom lighting the path within their minds. Rahula lay awake under the open sky, watching the stars as they shone unwavering amidst the passing clouds. He understood now that breaking the cycle was not a battle but a gentle release into the truth of impermanence. The Buddha rested under the Bodhi tree, his presence a beacon of peace, guiding his disciples toward inner freedom. Their minds, once tangled with suffering, now flowed like water and soared like the endless sky above. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.